Hi folks, Matt Easton here, Schola Gladiatoria. So one fairly simple point, something that I've noticed over the last few months, is that the size of Indian sword hilts are actually surprisingly consistent. So I've arranged a few Indian swords behind me, and I've got another one in my hand here, just to go through some measurements. This one is 8 centimeters long in the handle, that one is 8.5, that's 8.5, that one is 9, that one is 8.5 centimeters, and that one is 8.5 centimeters. Now there are smaller ones than that. I tend to keep the ones with a larger grip on because they're easier for me to use. But something that was mentioned a lot in 19th century sources, European sources that is saying how confined the Indian sword hilt was, and a lot of European writers on Indian swords in the 19th and indeed early 20th centuries surmised that this was to do with the small size of Indian hands and rubbish like this. And of course it wasn't, it was because the Indian hilt is there to confine your hand and to encourage you to use the draw cut, and it is a tight fitting grip. Now, an interesting point that I have noted is, if we now look at the Viking era, so Frankish, Anglo-Saxon and Viking sword hilt, they are coincidentally, and I'm not saying it's for the same reasons at all, I'm not asserting that, but they are coincidentally of the same size range as Indian sword hilts. If we look through Ian Pearce's excellent book on swords of the Viking age, then you will see that Viking sword hilts range from about 7.5 centimeters up to a common maximum of about 10 centimeters. There are some which are up to 11 centimeters long, the handle, but most of them are about 8.5 to 9 centimeters long, which is the same as the Indian swords, not just tulwars incidentally, but also the so-called Hindu basket hilt or Indian basket hilt. They have the same grip length. So there's an interesting thing to note, is that two completely separated by periods of time and by obviously area. We've got Northern Europe in the sort of 7th to 11th centuries, and then we've got India in the 18th and 19th centuries. They share a similar grip size. Interesting thing to note. Click subscribe now and also follow us on Facebook.